Restructuring, as far as I'm concerned, derives from two operative words, re and structure. Looking at the structure and then trying to add value to a structure. And that is what I see as restructuring. You've looked at the current structure and you think value should be added to what is on ground.
All right, thank you so very much. Karen Abejume, in your terms, in your definition, what is restructuring?
Yes, like what Daddy here has just said, in my own view, is reorganizing the structure that has been in existence. Reorganizing, looking at the structure, looking at the deficiencies and the areas that need to be strengthened, and reorganizing them, making them a better structure.
All right. Sir Jonas Odocha, the cry and the shout for restructuring is so loud right now. And people are saying that some of the people who are joining in the call for restructuring also contributed to destructuring, if I may use that word, of the polity. And that technically they have ulterior motives. Where do you think we need to start restructuring from?
First and foremost, I think everybody has to be on the same page on restructuring. But it appears that restructuring means different things to different people. But I would like to take it from this angle. If you look at governance, governance is about people and development. And if you ask anybody today in Nigeria, you'll be told that Nigeria is not really focused on people and development, unlike what used to be in the past. And I think that is really what is causing all the agitations, all the protestations, and all that. So we need to look at the current structure and justify why we need to restructure. And the starting point is really looking at where we have failed and why we think we need to correct this failure. And let me point out to you, I think the current structure, or what you call a 36-state structure, has failed Nigeria. Because currently, out of 36 states, 28 states cannot pay salaries of workers. Pensioners are not receiving their pay. And you trace back, why is this the situation? And you find out that you don't have enough funds to run these states because they are all beggarly states. And being beggarly means they are not even generating enough internal revenue. And you look back, you ask yourself, for those of you who were not born when we had the regions, when we had the 4 regions, initially we had 3 regions, then later 4 regions. These regions were all competitive, healthy competition in education, in economy, in social development. And that's why you had the granite pyramids in the north, you had the cocoa, what I call the cocoa hills in the west, and then the oil palm rivers in the east. And yes, they were able to generate revenue internally and then paid due revenues to the federal at the center. And what is happening today, we are not promoting fiscal federalism. And that is why people think we should go back or mimic what was happening in the regions. And the advocacy for going the zonal structure, the 6 zones, is gaining momentum or gaining grounds.
Okay, sir. Last week, we posed this question to the resource persons we had, and we said, what kind of government are we running? What is the system of government we are running in this country? And the two people had various varying answers. I want to ask you the same question, sir. What is the system of government that Nigeria runs as at the moment?
One, we are running the presidential system that is supposed to be federal. But the issue is this. We are running a presidential system like the United States.
Are we?
No, I'm saying like the United States. But here, the fiscal federalism is not being practiced. We are running a presidential system with a background of a unitary system where power is concentrated at the center. And that is why there is this call for devolution of powers to what people now want as the federating zones, the 6 zonal structure. Instead of these 36 federating units that are not competent for development.
All right, sir, let me put you on a hold there. Viewers, you're still watching Christians in Politics, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. We'll go on a short break. I'll be back shortly.
Our Bible reading is taken from John chapter 15 verse 5, where it says, I am the vine, ye are the branches. Whoever abideth in me and I in him.
Welcome back, everyone. If you just joined us, this is Christians in Politics coming to you from the live broadcast studios of the Anglican Cable Network Nigeria, ACNN, broadcasting from Abuja. Just before we went on break, we were discussing the issue of restructuring and the unity of Nigeria. And I have in the studio Sir Jonas Odocha, who is a consultant on energy and former group general manager of the NNPC, and Reverend Canon Benjamin Agbejumeya, who have been doing justice to the topic. Just before we went on break, Sir Jonas, you made mention of equity, justice, and fairness. Now, if we go back to the regional governments, just like you are opining, don't you think that the minority groups will feel marginalized, cheated, overshadowed, just like we're having them now?
I don't think so. And if you take the various regions or the various zones and you ask yourself who are constituting minorities in the zones, you see that the number will be insignificant compared to when you have this large structure we're looking at. The fact that you've taken the various zones as governance entities, well, will not automatically reduce any form of agitation or level of injustice or not being fair to people. But you have to learn. That's why this restructuring is essential, so that we'll learn from mistakes and know that why are you restructuring? You are restructuring because you found yourselves in a situation whereby you have a lot of agitations based on injustice, no equity, and no fairness.
Sir, sorry to cut you. Do you have any practical, should I call it testimony now, of people who feel they are threatened from what you're saying, people who are being marginalized? Do you have any concrete testimony? Let me use that word. I like that word.
Yes, let me just mention this. The issue of herdsmen invasion of farms is a case in point. Go to a state like Benue State. They believe they are just being invaded because there are bigger powers that can defend the aggressors.
But just recently, the state governor just passed an anti-grazing bill. And I think the invasion of the herdsmen is critically a governance issue, a leadership issue.
Of course, and that's why they had to pass the anti-grazing bill.
Great. Let me come to Canon Agbejume. You are from the south of the Federation, and people are saying that the reason why the Midwestern region, as at that time, wanted to or left the Eastern region was because of marginalization.
Western region.
Western region. Some parts were carved out from, okay, great, from Western region, yeah. Now, people are saying if this restructuring comes in place, some parts of the South may have to go along with the Southeast, and they do not want that. Are you in support of this opinion?
Well, it's not the issue here. It's not where one belongs in the restructuring that matters. Whether you are in the South-South, whether you are in the Southwest, whether you are in the Southeast.
I'm saying, if we go back to the regional governments, where do you think your people from the South-South will go to? You have the Igbo-speaking part in Rivers State, in Delta State. Yeah. Then we have some part of Edo State, Yoruba-speaking people in Edo State, and some other places. How do you think it will be balkanized?
Based on these geopolitical zones, Delta is in the South-South geopolitical zone. And therefore, I would say I belong to the South-South geopolitical zone.
It's a geopolitical zone. It's simply a political structure.
It's a political, and there's no way you can restructure Nigeria without a political restructure.
So the opinion that we should go back to the geopolitical zones as our regions, as the structure.
Yes.
Great.
We should go back to the geopolitical zones as the regions. And like the question you asked, Father, before asking me this question, that if there are evidences to show that some minorities are marginalized, let me put it clearly to you.
Let me hear your thoughts, sir.
Let me put it clearly to you. Now, you have a region that generates almost 50% of the resources of the nation. Take, for example, you have Kano State that has 44 local government areas. You have Katsina that has 33 local government areas. These two states, their local government area is more than the entire local government areas you have in the southeast. And when you begin to analyze what the southeast generates into the federal coffer every month or every year, you will be surprised that the two states that has 77 local government areas cannot even generate what one state is generating in the southeast. And at the end of every month, the allocation, these local government areas and the state, these two states are collecting is more than what the southeast entirely is collecting every month. Will you say that the federal government of Nigeria is fair to the southeast?
Are you saying that the federal government is unfair?
We are talking about fairness.
Yes, I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to get some
marginalization.
I'm trying to get something straight here, sir. Are you saying the federal government is being unjust?
That is why I said the creation of these local government areas and the states are not done based on fairness, equity, and
but you know that
based on corruption.
Now, if you take a look at the landmass, and the geographical landmass of the north, especially the state you just mentioned,
yes,
you will discover that a local government could be equated to a state in the south.
It is not the landmass that you determine
the number of people. The number of can you hold on for a minute? In the last census, we were told that we have more people in Kano than we have in Lagos. Some are saying it's being politicized because you can't have more people in Kano than you have in Lagos. So based on the number of people, based on the population.
What is the population of Kano?
Based on the population and based on the landmass,
yes,
they say this is how they are sharing the resources.
Thank you very much for this point.
So are you saying,
yes.
Hold on, are you saying that we should, are you opining for resource control?
There is no way you will talk of restructuring without resource control, because every region must control our resources. And that is the issue, and that is why those who created these local government areas and the states did it based on corruption and nepotism. Because if it's not for self-serving, I don't see any reason. You are saying that even if the population of Kano State is more than that of Lagos State, how many local government areas has Lagos? Lagos has 20. Kano has 44. And in the last census, they said that Lagos is 20 million and Kano is 22 million. Is it because of the 2 million that Kano State is now having additional 24 local government areas? What is what is Kano State generating into the federal coffer every month? So it should be based on what a state can generate. Let me tell you one thing. There is no state in Nigeria that is poor. There is no state. It's because, like what Kweremadu said, Nigeria states and governors have become bottle governors who lack vision, who don't think, who don't plan. Because if you have a state governor that is planning, look at Cross River State government. They've taken tourism to another level. That what tourism is generating for Cross River State is more than what even mineral resources will generate for the state. It's because you have a governor that will be moving with a convoy of more than 43 cars, and the state cannot generate 2 billion naira a month. The state cannot generate 2 billion naira a month, and that state governor will come to Abuja to collect 30 billion naira or 40 billion naira as a monthly allocation. When that money is collected,
don't you think the people of the state should hold their leaders accountable? Instead of agitating for cessation, restructuring, how can the people, because that's what the program is all about, how can we take part in the governance of our states, of our different regions, to make sure that our leaders are accountable? There are some people who are representing us at the state houses of assembly, at the federal house of assembly, they have not moved one bill. They've not sponsored one bill. And after 4 years and 8 years, they go home with their coffers, with their money to the banks. How can the people hold their leaders accountable?
Thank you very much. Let's start from the federal level. Now, you have a government that is believed to be today as the government of the North, because the number one citizen is from the North. And most offices, ministries, parastatals and agencies are occupied by Northerners. When you, the Southerner, will speak against such nepotism, that is the way of holding your leadership accountable. You must have those who will back him or support what he's doing, because they believe that it is their son. Let me tell you, even if the devil, the Lucifer, decide to emerge as Nigerian president today, he must have supporters.
How sure are you about that?
Because he must have those who are benefiting. That is the truth. There must be people who will support because they are benefiting from the system. And as long as they are benefiting from the system, those who are denied, those who are suffering, yes, to them it doesn't matter. That is the system. Because the problem of Nigeria has become systemic. And that is why I said there is no way, if we must restructure, you will restructure politically, you will restructure economically, and you will restructure the minds of our politicians.
So which should we start with first?
First of all, we look at our constitution.
Okay, let me put you on hold.
Because the constitution of Nigeria tends to favor the rich.
Let me put you on hold, sir.
Against the poor.
Yes. Sir Jonas, do you think the people are really living up to what they should with regards to holding their leaders accountable? Because if we don't have good roads in our states, we don't have good pipeline water, we don't have electricity, how can we be asking the federal government to give us what our state governors, our brothers cannot give to us?
There can be no leadership without followership. And also, there can be no followership without leadership. The issue is this. The followership in Nigeria, you can correctly say, followership has been so emasculated that the leaders can get away with murder. And that is because they believe they can achieve whatever without the people. And it starts from elections. When you're electing people who believe if they throw bags of rice at you, throw money, you can just vote, or if people who believe whether you vote or you don't vote, elections can be rigged and people get into positions of power and authority. Definitely, once they get there, they've acquired power, they acquire perks of office, and little or nothing contributed by the followership can have any impact on them. There's an example now. You have in Kogi State, constituents are requesting for a recall of a senator,
which has been suspended.
Good. And you see what we term the vicious cycle. If you go through the media, electronic media, you have people indicating that the INEC chairman happens to have been chairman of debt fund or something, and the Senate came up with the fact that they have to probe debt fund, and everybody knows that the main target is the INEC chairman, and because of that, he's trying to soft pedal. I'm stating this not that the facts are there or whatever, but to show you how the citizenry can be manipulated. And we're at that level because of level of education, high level of illiteracy. So people are easily manipulated. Therefore, those who find themselves in positions of authority get away with blue murders. And the issue, and like Reverend Cannon stated, there must be restructuring of the mindset. It's not just political restructuring.
And whose job is that to, initiate the restructuring?
This is a very good question. It's a very good question. I wish I came with copies of my book here, titled The Way We Are, Ideas for a Better Nigeria. I stated that the NOA, the National Orientation Agency, has not been playing the role it should play for us in this country. Educating people, reorienting minds. Because there must be the proper mindset for you to accomplish what is involved in governance, that is in people and development. And when you talk of corruption, it's all the same issue. The mindset. People, if you don't have the proper understanding, everybody has to be on the same page on what is termed corruption. If we don't have the same, if you think, changing the cutoff marks, favoring some people, it's not corruption. But you're ready to condemn somebody who, out of hunger, picks up something in a marketplace. You can see everybody must be on the same page if you want to eradicate corruption. Then corruption is in various forms in the country. And this is also leading to why there's so much agitation.
So you're pointing fingers at the leaders in all spheres for being responsible for what we are experiencing in the country as regards citizens not knowing what they are supposed to do in times like this. Let me go to Canon Abuja. You're a Christian leader. Do you think the church has failed in educating the people, bulk of which contribute to the people in the society? Because a lot of people we have in the society also go to church. And after going to church, they come into the society. So these office holders sit on our pews every Sunday. Do you think the church has failed in her capacity to educate and change the mindset of people towards, doing what they are supposed to do, their civic rights as citizens?
To an extent, the church has failed because most of those who are occupying political offices today, if you go closer to them and if you find out, you will discover that they belong to one religion or the other in Nigeria. And you have two main religions in Nigeria. You have Islam and you have Christianity. And some of these people, when they go to the church, they are given a prominent position in the church. Because why I'm saying this, though the political leaders have failed us them up, that is why I said restructuring of the mind of the people is key to better Nigeria. Because take for example the current president government said they are fighting corruption. If you are fighting corruption, how can you be fighting corruption? You take people to court, arrest them, gag them, and whereas the same man who is fighting corruption is promoting nepotism. Is nepotism not part of corruption?
Nepotism in what sense?
When we say nepotism, if you don't belong to a particular region or a particular tribe in Nigeria, take for example, you look at all the offices, parastatals that have been occupied today. Who are those occupying them? If you are not a Muslim, you cannot occupy a particular position.
So that goes to show that a lot of people, most people from the South, and mostly Christians, are the ones asking for restructuring.
No. The first person that talks about restructuring is not from the South. Former President Ibrahim Babangida is not from the South. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is not from the South.
Now, some people have alleged IBB for having an ulterior motive, a political intent, for asking for restructuring, and that it wasn't because he was part of those who put this country in what we find ourselves today.
My brother, even if he has a political undertone or political motive in calling for this restructuring, will you say the correct state and the correct way Nigeria is being run is based on fairness, equity, and justice? The answer is no.
Sir Jonas, the Northwest Geopolitical Zone has 7 states. All other zones have 6 states each, apart from the Southeast. Did you think the Southeast, where you come from, needs another state created for them in all equity and fairness so that we can balance these, the number of states in the geopolitical zones?
You need to recall that governance, like I did state, is just about people and development. And in this country, you have states, you have local governments, and these are all areas of fund distribution. So if you shortchange any particular zone in this direction, you're not being fair to that zone. And you ask yourself, why is it that a particular zone has 7 states, some others have 6, and a particular zone just has 5? Well, people talk about landmass, but let me state this. If you go up north of Africa, you will not, because you have the desert, massive desert, state that a particular country up north of Africa should have so much assigned to it. They are talking about people. They are going to develop people, you know, and that is why this agitation about marginalization is very, very high in the Southeast. And please, if you talk about distribution of states in the country, until you have equitable distribution of states so that funding can be reasonably accounted for, there will continuously be this agitation. But then, when you take the geopolitical zones as governing or federating units, if any particular zone decides to have 100 states, so be it, because you are now forced to generate revenue. IGR will increase. Like I did mention at the beginning, when we had the 4 regions, this country was moving very, very well because of competition. Yes, but today, everybody discarded agriculture, mineral resources, and zeroed in on oil. And we all know how oil is very, very volatile, not just in cost, but also even in production. And that is why volatility in the market and also in the production, those are issues. And if you have wasting assets like petroleum, you really have an issue on your hands. And talking about development, we have poor development because we have poor energy. Poor energy because we are relying on a wasting asset, and nobody considered renewable energy.
All right, sir, you were formerly with the NNPC. What do you think? First of all, tell us your experience as a general manager of NNPC as regards resource control and the agitation from the Niger Delta to, have a equitable distribution of their resources.
Let me be frank with you. Incidentally, I did not start with the government. When I left university, that was in 1973, as a geologist, I started with Mobile Producing Nigeria, and I had a lot of my job trainings up there in the United States of America. In America, if you own a tract, if you own a piece of land, whatever is there belongs to you. If I have a tract and there's petroleum there, I'll mine it and pay the appropriate royalty or tax to government.
Are you saying that the federal government has been shortchanging the people of Nigeria?
Of course. I mean, there's no gainsaying it, you know. And why is this so? Because of this unitary system. Because of improper fiscal federalism. Because you're using resources from one particular zone to compensate for rascality of other zones. That is the issue. And until this is corrected, you continue to have agitations and agitations. And that is why those who really have the interests of the country at heart, they are asking for this restructuring. Getting back to the drawing board. Where have we gone wrong? Who and who should be, please come and help us out. Nigeria is in their need of reassessment. We're in their need of reassessment. And until this reassessment is done, the country will continue to grope in the dark. And that is the issue.
Before we go, Canon Agbejume, you made mention of the people who brought us to this place. Tell us which people these people are, and at what point did we, get to this point we are?
Yeah, suspension of the constitution of the country at the time the military took over from the government of Tafawa Balewa and Nnamdi Azikiwe, and handing over to us decrees, ruling Nigeria through decrees and the present constitution. They brought us to this state that we are. In the first place, if you ask these questions, how many Nigeria universities can be ranked among the first 50 universities in the world? There is none. Even in Africa, hardly you will talk before you think of Nigeria University among the 10. You have already thought of other countries that are not even as rich as Nigeria. Then we are saying we are rich. We don't have light. We are rich. We don't have roads. We are rich. Our airports are poor. We are rich. We don't have a railway. Wait. And all these are controlled by the center.
Because of our time, sir, because of our time, we already know about all these problems. Now the issue is, how do we solve them? Your final words, sir. What would you advise the federal government to do as at this point to get this country up and running?
Let the regions. There is no point for you as a federal government to go and build a refinery in Kaduna when Kaduna is not producing oil. Let states decide on what to do, how to invest the resources within that region, and pay royalty or tax to the federal government. Let the federal government be a smaller federal government that will take care of immigration, defense, and few other ministries. By so doing, you will see a competition in the regions, and you will see that Nigerians will be the beneficiaries of all this, because what we are doing today cannot take us anywhere. We are going 100 steps backward instead of moving forward.
All right. On a final note, Sir Jonas Odocha, can you tell us your recommendation to the federal government?
My recommendation is very plain. Let us ask ourselves basic questions, and there are answers, of course. We need to restructure this country. We need to go back to what we call the regional system for healthy competition, good governance, and development.
All right, thank you so very much, viewers. This is how it will end on this episode of Christians in Politics. We were able to talk about restructuring and the issue of Nigeria's unity, and I spoke with Reverend Canon Benjamin Agbejume, a priest of the Diocese of Abuja in the Church of Nigeria, and Sir Jonas Odocha, who is an energy consultant and former general manager of the NNPC. Sir, thank you for coming around.
Thank you.
Canon, it was good to have you.
Thank you very much.
Remember, you can join the conversation via our social media platforms. On Facebook, it is facebook.com/ACNNTV, and on YouTube, you can watch a repeat of this broadcast at youtube.com/ACNNTV. We hope to get your thoughts, and we'll continue the conversation next week. Until then, I am Chukwuemeka Lum, and thanking you for being part of the program. Bye for now.